Okay, lesson one. I want to focus a bit on the caged system and how it relates to our scale patterns and our soloing options. A lot of times people work real hard on all of their scale patterns, the pentatonics, the diatonics, even all the modal stuff, and even into exotic scales and all that. But a lot of times I see people just avoid or ignore the cage system and the arpeggios that go with it and all of that. Now, this is not going to be a lesson on caged arpeggios. What we're going to do is combine our thinking about our scales with the general knowledge of the caged chord shapes and talk about positioning and how they can be used to play certain chord progressions and certain styles of soloing. And it's really meant to just get you thinking and get you trying some different things with this concept, okay? What I'm going to do, I'm going to start out with, we're going to play in the key of A, and in this case I'm looking at A major, all right? And so my A major pentatonic scale pattern, I'm using, you might think of it as F sharp minor, down here at the 2nd fret, relative major is A. And that pattern fits over, there's a couple ways you could think about it in terms of chords. You could think of it as the F sharp minor bar chord. That really is an E-shaped chord. But I want you to think of it in a sense, in this case, as the G shape A chord. Okay? So we've taken a G chord shape and we've just moved it up the neck a couple frets and put a bar behind it. Now, I would normally never really play this chord this way. If I ever needed to play such a chord, I'd probably end up using a capo, or I'd use a different chord shape, But just to show you where I'm thinking, this chord right here fits. Here's our root note. Here's the root note of the chord, and here's the root note of the A major pentatonic scale pattern. Okay? And so within that pentatonic pattern, again, you want to know your root notes. You want to understand the chord tones of that chord shape. Okay, so we've got our root note here, our 3rd here, 5th. We've got another root note over here. We've got a 3rd here, a 5th on that same string, and a root note up at the top. And when you're soloing, a lot of times you're thinking about those notes and how they fit right over the top of that main pentatonic shape. And again, in this case, I'm using that main pentatonic shape as major. So you might have riffs like this. Okay, these are all just basic A major sort of pentatonic riffs, and you see that I'm playing them, and I have both things in mind. I have the A chord there, the G-shaped A chord, in my mind, and all of the arpeggio tones that go with it, and I have the main pentatonic scale pattern in mind. All right? Now let's take that and move it up the neck, again thinking of a 1-4-5 progression as a basic learning tool. Okay? For a D chord, the 4 chord in A, I'm going to bring that chord shape all the way up here. Okay? So I've got my root note on the 10th fret, and I've got riffs, I've got that same scale pattern. So, okay? We've got all kinds of riffs right there that come out of those two patterns. And again, the point here is I want you to think about both things at the same time. I want you to think about the pentatonic scale pattern and the chord shape sort of simultaneously, and be thinking about those riffs that come out of that. Okay? We take it up another step. We'll go up a whole step. We've got the key of, or the chord E here. We've moved the pentatonic scale up. Okay? All those riffs. Okay? Then I'm going to move down, back to D. And then we're going to bring it back down to A. All the way back down here to the open position. Okay? This is just a basic concept that will help you to bring the cage system into your scale playing. All right? And I just want to encourage you to fool around with this pattern, with this shape right here. Just sit there and find all those riffs. Just noodle around in that pattern right there over and over, thinking about the pentatonic and that G-shaped chord at the same time, and find those riffs in there and get used to sliding it up and down the neck like this. Okay?